Hello and welcome to this next playthrough video where we will be playing Warhammer 40,000 Darktide, the card game. I've been thoroughly enjoying this card game, playing it solo, playing it two-handed, and that's what we're going to do today. We're going to be playing, there's different game modes, but we'll be playing the first mission of a campaign just to give you an idea of how this game plays. But there are different game modes you can play. We'll cover that at the end of the video. So first thing we need to do is we need to select, since I'm playing two-handed, we're going to need to select two archetypes, which is what the game refers to as characters. So let's go ahead and do that and set up our two guys and then set up the first mission. So the two archetypes we're going with is the Ogryn Skullbreaker. Sorry, this camera is not the best for focusing. And the Zealot Preacher. So the first thing we do is we take these green cubes and we are going to place one here in their special. Each character has, on the top left corner, has a special ability. So we're going to put the cubes on the 5. Next are these two special abilities, which are shared by all archetypes. They're all the same. It is basically reshuffling your deck and healing. And then finally, your toughness or your life points all start on the underlined number. And you signify that by placing another cube. I've had these red cubes. They don't come with the game. This is just something I had. And yeah, they just indicate this is the maximum you can go. When you go from campaign level 1 to campaign or mission 1 to mission 2, you do have an option to either lower these stats to make them less expensive to play, or you could raise your health stat to gain more life. But right now, the Ogryn is stuck at 5 as his highest, and the Zealot Preacher is stuck at 3. All right, and up next, you're going to take their 20 action cards, and you're going to place it beside them in this area here. And now, since we are on the first campaign, we're going to spend some trust points. When you start off at each mission level or each campaign level, you start off with 1 trust point from the Inquisitor. So you're going to have these weapon cards, and these weapon cards are numbered T3, T2, T1, and T0. These are trust points that you could spend. So we don't have enough. We're going to start with 1 trust point. So we don't have enough for the 3s or the 2s. So we're just going to collect all the 1s, the 0s, and we're good to go. So now we could spend that 1 trust point on one of these 3 cards. So I think what I'm going to do, instead of going over detail, I think what I'm going to do is for the Zealot, this is his symbol and his cards that he has access to. He is going to get a ranged weapon. You must have a melee and a ranged weapon. So we're going to go ahead and select the stub revolver, Zarona stub revolver for a ranged weapon. And then for a melee, now we don't have any more trust points to spend. So we're going to have to use our 0 cost melee weapons. And the only thing I could pick, because I already have a ranged weapon, we're going to go ahead and take the shovel as our melee weapon. And now we're going to do the same thing for the Ogryn. We'll go for the cleaver for the melee. We'll spend our 1 trust point there. And then we'll just use a basic pistol for his ranged weapon. So up next, when setting up for a mission, you're going to take this supply deck, you're going to give it a shuffle, and you're going to deal out 6 cards. And then you're going to flip it over, and you're going to choose a supply card and assign it to one of your zealots here. Or, sorry, the Zealot Preacher is going to take a combat stim, which says discard to gain an action card and gain 1 stamina. You'll see how that works in the game. And then finally, I don't know, we'll keep it simple here. We're going to go with an Intel supply card where you can get some intelligence, which is a mission modifier, where we get to replace a hard event with a normal event, and that will go to the Ogre. So the rest of these supply cards, you just put them to a side, and when you go to the second mission, you just basically add 2 more. You get rid of the ones you have if they're spent, and then you choose again. All right, so that is it for the supply. And then finally, you're going to take their 2 first player tokens and deal it to each character. Okay, up next we have the mission tracker. And these represent the 6 missions. The numbers up top with the +1, +0. These are the enemies that will get added depending on what mission you are. So we're on mission 1, so no extra enemies will be added to this first mission. And these are the things, the resources for the hive stability. And this is what they need to keep it stable. You must get it to 5. Anything beyond 5 is for your high score at the end of the 6th mission. Anything below 5, I do believe, is considered a failure and you get executed by the Inquisitor. I'm not sure. But in any case, that's the whole point of the game. So we start off with putting everything at 0. So for this playthrough, it's not really important to have this on screen. This is more important once you're playing an actual campaign and trying to complete it. So we're just going to take this off screen because I really don't have a lot of real estate to accommodate all the cards that are going to have to come up. So, but anyway, that is the mission tracker. So up next is your front of the tide. So this is basically the front of the sector. Think of it as the fence, and all the enemies are going to be coming through here. Any damage is dealt first to the front of the tide. Then it gets dealt to the first player, any excess. And then any additional damage gets divided amongst the archetypes. All right, so up next we have our sector cards. So according to the rule book, there are different sector, I don't know what they would be called, levels. So basically there are these things called campaign packs. There are 2 campaign packs. The second campaign pack is comprised of any card that has these Roman numeral 2s. So we're going to remove those, and anything that has 1 or an I. What we're looking for is anything that has a B. These will get added. For example, this first campaign pack, any cards with that will be added to after the 3rd mission in the campaign, and any 2s will be added after the 4th mission. So right now we're just looking for anything that has a B in it, which would be these. So the idea for the sector, you give your cards a mix. You're going to keep 1 to assault, 1 to throw away, and 1 to put back into the pile of available sectors. So you take a look at them and you basically choose. So, I don't know, I guess we'll go with this one. And it says, excessive cover. Only enemies in the second tide column could be targeted by ranged attacks. Okay, it's not too bad. I think we could deal with this. If we are successful, we'll get 2 material, 1 obedience, 0 purity. So, yeah, that is the rule for this sector. So now we can start setting up the sector. Oh, and I almost forgot. One of them goes back into the pool of sectors, so it doesn't really matter. We're only playing 1 campaign. So we'll put this one back into the pool, and then this one we'll just throw out of the game. It goes back into the box and it doesn't come back. All right, up next, just take your event cards and divide them up into normal, hard, extreme, and the final event. On the sector card, there is a title that you should use for the final event card, and this one is called Recover Equipment. So we're just going to find that event card, and this will be the 7th event in this sector. And if you go by the rule book, let me just grab the rule book here. I don't know if this is going to show up on camera, but on the back of the rule book, if I pull it away from the light, Sector 1, 2, 3, 4. These are all your missions for each sector. Sorry. And we're playing number 1. So there is 0 reinforcements to be added, just like it showed on our mission tracker. We're going to add 3 normal events, 3 hard events, and 0 extreme events. So we don't need, for this first mission, we do not need any extreme events. So we put that back in the box. And then finally, we're going to shuffle this. And we're going to take 3 out of the hard. And then we're going to do the same for normal. So the way you lay out the event cards is you go from normal to hard to extreme to final. So right now we got our first 3 events will be normal, our next 3 will be hard, and then finally, hopefully, we get to our final event. And I'm going to push these up just to give us a little bit more room, because now here's where the enemies come out. So these event cards will eventually call up these elite and boss enemies. We're just going to keep this off to the side. So now we take our enemy deck, and we're going to do the same thing we did with the sectors. We're only going to keep enemies with a B for this first mission. The other enemies with the 1s and the 2s will show up later on in the campaign to make it much harder. All right, so just to explain how tides work. So there are going to be 7 columns of enemies. Let me just set that up just to show you. So basically, this is what it looks like. If it was full, the enemies come out 1 at a time, or 2 at a time, or 4 at a time. But bottom line is you have 7 columns and 3 rows, okay? And if an enemy gets taken out here, for example, the other enemy will fill in the gap, all right? And these elite enemies, by the way, what they do is they take up 2 spaces, basically, all right? And the final important note is this first row that is against our squad defense tile here. These guys could only be attacked with melee weapons, which is this fist icon up here on the card. And anything back here could be attacked with ranged weapons, but because we pulled this sector, and it says only enemies in the second tide column can be targeted by ranged weapons. So I can't hit anyone that's out here. Only these guys can I hit with ranged weapons. I can't hit anything here by default with ranged weapons. That's just a regular rule of the game. But because of this sector, these guys are off limits, and these guys can get hit with a gun. So let's reset the enemy deck, and I guess we could just start the game.